All right, welcome to Big Blue Breakdown. End of July session, July 26, 2018. I'm your host, Michael Buckheister here. I'm here with always Matthew Lyle. Matthew, how you doing today?
Doing great. Ready to talk a little bit of Kentucky sports. My favorite thing to talk about. How we doing, Big Blue Nation?
Oh, Big Blue Nation's got to get in hype for football season, you would hope.
We're getting there.
And as always, we got Chris Hill on the line as well. Chris, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, guys. How we doing?
Good stuff. King of the Hill, man. I haven't seen you in a week. How we
I
doing?
know, man. I missed that face, buddy. How you been?
It's still the same.
Well, why don't we go ahead and jump into basketball here, since Kentucky is a basketball school. Let's talk Kevin Knox. Kevin Knox did get drafted in to the league this year. He was a first round pick. He went to the Knicks. He did pretty darn good during summer league, as far as I'm concerned. But the questions arises: do you think that will transfer over to the actual regular season? Matthew, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think to a degree, I've always thought that the summer league was a watered down NBA, a better version of the college. So I think he's going to start out just mainly because the Knicks have no one else. Porzingis is still going to be injured. So I think he's going to come out and he's going to start strong. I think he is going to hit that rookie wall where, there's a difference between 30, 35 games at Kentucky and 82 in the NBA. So I think he's going to show glimpses of the ability to do what he did in the summer league. But I think he's going to hit a wall too. And, he's a rookie on a bad team, let's be honest. So he's going to have some ups, he's going to have some downs.
Chris, what are your thoughts on that?
Man, I agree with you there. He's going to hit that rookie wall. I mean, there's kind of no doubt about it. I agree with Matt there with the it's a 30-plus game season in the NCAA and NBA. I mean, we're talking, double that, So, I mean, his size, man, really surprised me. I mean, he's 6'9", 215. I mean, 6'9" off the bat, he's already mismatching with half the guards in the league, So, I mean, he's got an upper hand there. I mean, he's averaged, 23 points a game or so. I mean, he's 18 years old. This guy's perimeter skills are crazy. And, yeah, like Matt said, he's on a pretty crappy team. So, I mean, that could kind of hurt him, but that could also help him. I mean, if he's on such a crappy team, he's going to get a lot of playing time, a whole lot of playing time. And that might benefit him in the end. You never know.
Well, I wonder if, yes, it will benefit, but I wonder if it could also take its toll because, as we discussed, he's going to double the amount. The games get longer. The season is twice as long. So, yes, I think at the beginning he's going to benefit greatly from being really the only option on that team. But I think as time goes on, those minutes are going to start to catch up to him. I think he may get a little bit dead legs. I mean, he showed times at Kentucky, and I don't know if that's his age or his ability that, him being in shape, that he would kind of just stand around. And if he does that in the NBA, he's going to disappear. For a little bit.
He would appear to be tired about, midway through the second half or for the first half.
Right. But he's got Porzingis there, and I mean, if they start paying more attention to Kevin, I mean, which I see happening because this kid's just, I mean, he's too good not to. His perimeter skills, like I said, he's too good not to. His jump shot's great. He's got great fluid motion, really good release. I mean, this guy, he's going to be a star, but he's 18. I mean, but if they pay more attention to him and he can get the ball to Porzingis more, I mean, you never know. They could be good. They could be real good.
Well, I don't think he's going to take away from Porzingis. I think Porzingis is clearly the number one option. My concern is how far away is he in the ACL injury? When does he return? And at what percent is he when he returns? If Porzingis was 100% healthy, I think Knox would put up great numbers because he's not going to get that attention that a lot of top round picks would. But with Porzingis being hurt, I don't know. It's not going to help much.
So Chris, let me present a question for you. Kevin Knox is only 18 years old. He's 6'9", about 215, 220 pounds or so. Do you think he is big enough to compete in the NBA? And like when I say large enough, like I mean like headstrong, do you think he can, mentally take a NBA season?
Honestly, I think it's going to take him a couple of years, to really start showing that true potential. I mean, he's 18. Which one of us at 18 was really headstrong? I mean, he's got the world at his feet. He's just got to show up and do it. I think he's going to do it. By far, he's probably out of the players that have been drafted from Kentucky that's in the draft this year, that's going to play in the NBA this year. I think he's going to do the best, has the most potential to be the best. Yeah, I don't know.
So,
if I may, sorry, Mike.
Go ahead.
Just a couple of things on that. I think you're right. He's the one with the best potential. I don't think he'll have the best season. I think Shea will have the better season. One thing I think we cannot forget, and look, I know there's been a lot of times that this hasn't worked out, but Kevin Knox's dad was a pro athlete. Now, I know it doesn't always instantly convert to his son, a la Michael Jordan and his kids, but I think as far as a mental standpoint, not talking about physical ability or the on-court attitude or the on-court ability, I think mentally his dad has been giving him the ins and outs of how to conduct yourself as a pro. Aside from some moments of Kevin kind of falling to the back on the court, I think he conducted himself very professionally here at Kentucky. He didn't have any of those, 18-year-old decisions that me and you, undoubtedly had. But I think he's going to have a leg up on a lot of competition or a lot of young guys because he come from a household where there was already a pro athlete in the house.
And probably 90% of these AAU kids have to be professional. I mean, they are treated like a professional athlete since about the age of 12, 13 years old, getting shoes and clothes and like all that stuff. So let me ask you this, Matt. Chris stated that it will take Knox 2 years, 3 years to become his own. Do you think in that 2 or 3 year span, like Knox is kind of shuffled off to the side and he lose his game upstairs, like in his head?
I don't think so. I think it's going to – you got to be careful because we're looking at this from a point of view of fans. It's going to appear that way because what's going to happen is, and I'm talking to all the Kentucky fans out there, you're going to see him a little bit come October, November, and then when all the good teams start pushing for the playoffs, the Knicks are not going to be on TV. And then the next year, the Knicks are not going to be on TV. And then out of nowhere – you're going to see these great numbers by this small forward, and that's going to be Knox. So I think he's just going to take the same development that every other kid coming out of college and out of high school does. You're just not going to get to see it because unless he comes out like Donovan Mitchell last year or Ben Simmons with these Sixers, you're going to kind of forget about him just because that's what happens when these low-tier teams. When we get into January, we're talking Warriors, we're talking LeBron, we're talking Rockets, we're talking Celtics. We're not going to be talking Knicks. So it's going to give the perception that, hey, did he just go out of nowhere? But when really it's just how the media is going to cover him. That's if he stays healthy.
And speaking of players, this is a perfect segue into our next question. Who from the 2018 draft do you think will be the best in the NBA? Chris, let's go ahead and start with you on that question.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be Knox, hands down.
This season or as a career?
Barring an injury, definitely it's got to be Knox. I mean, his upside is a lot better than anyone else's. And I don't know, man. I honestly feel that him being in New York with the Knicks, and they're rebuilding pretty much, it seems like, every year, he's the perfect starting point. To build a championship team. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, guarantee it's going to happen, but I mean, give it a couple years. It's like y'all said, he's just like any other AAU player coming out of college. I mean, he's.
So you think Knox will have the best career? Who do you think will have the best season?
It's still got to be Knox, man. It's always going to be Knox.
Matthew. Question to you.
You're talking entire NBA draft, correct? Not just of the Kentucky guys.
Well, no, yeah, just of the Kentucky guys.
Oh, just of the Kentucky guys. Yeah. I think career will be Knox, season will be Shea.
Chris, any rebuttal to that?
Which Shea went, what? He went number 11 to the Hornets, right?
Well, they traded him to the Clippers.
Yeah.
I got you. So he's in L.A. Well, DeAndre Jordan's still there, right?
Nope.
Or he got traded. That's right. He went to Dallas.
He signed with Dallas, yeah.
Okay, so no, go ahead.
Well, he's on a team, and there is some weapons out there. They got I'm drawing a blank on the sixth man guy that comes off the bench. They got him. They got Tobias Harris, which I'm not saying these guys are playoff contenders and going to compete for a title.
They're a 21 team.
They're a solid team.
Very young team.
And he's a point guard. He's going to get the ball in his hand a lot more. The Knicks have that point guard they drafted last year. I'm not even going to attempt to say his name. He wears number 11. He's going to be trying to make a name for himself, too, the guy they drafted in the first round. So, I mean, Knox is going to have his moments, but I don't see him having the best of those two this season.
So, Matthew, let me ask you one question here. With Knox and Shea both being in large media markets, being in New York and L.A., do you think they can handle the pressure of being, quote-unquote, the man and not bringing their team to a playoff team like in their first year? Like, do you think they'll crumble under the media pressure?
No, not at all, because, like I said, Knox in New York, even though he's the healthy guy now, that's still Kristaps' team. And the Knicks struggle, let's be real.
Yeah.
And out in L.A., yes, he's in L.A., but he's on L.A.'s quote-unquote B squad. And I know they're probably better than the Lakers without LeBron, but now that LeBron is there, that's all the media is going to be paying attention to. Shea could put up 40 points a night. He could also put up 4 points a night, and he's not even going to be the most talked about guy in that stadium.
Chris, what about you? What are your thoughts on that media coverage? Do you think they'll be able to handle it?
I think so, yeah. But like Matt said, I mean, the only way that it's going to get crazy for any one of these guys, especially for Knox, like being in New York, and that, I mean, that's, let's face it, that's the biggest media coverage. It's got to be. I mean, it's got that or LA, and I mean both of them. But still, if they come out just guns a-blazing and do great and just like light the world on fire, and he becomes the next super. I mean, look at Devin Booker. I mean, look at what he's doing. I mean, he's pretty much going to be the next superstar. Then I see it. I don't think it's going to go to his head, but he's going to be a lot bigger than what he thought he was going to be. And maybe that might go to his head with him being, real young. But like we said, he was, brought up by a professional athlete, was raised to not let stuff like that go to his head. So he's had that, pounded into his brain for his entire life. I don't think it'll mess with him at all.
Okay, well, speaking of young players, Ashton Hagans is graduating in December and is going to reclassify for the 2019 recruiting class here, and he's expected to join Kentucky in January. Do you think Ashton Hagans is actually going to make an impact on the team this year, or is that backcourt just too crowded? Matthew, what are your thoughts on that?
Like I was saying before the show, this is the first I'm hearing about it. I've been really busy here lately, so I hadn't heard that it was confirmed that he had to wait till January. I think absolutely he's going to make an impact. Now, I know that we're looking at other situations like Diallo, who came in January and didn't play, but that was an isolated decision. In my opinion, Hagans is probably the best guard in that backcourt. So if you can get him in there and get the guys quickly some time, try to see what Green's going to do. See what you got in Jamal Baker. See what you got in Tyler Hero. Then you let Hagans come in. I have a feeling I hear so great things about him. I have a feeling he's just going to bust in and earn his own. So I think that's going to be a great next step to take as March approaches. So absolutely, I see him coming in and making an impact, because I think he's one of the best recruits that we got this year.
Do you expect him to be starting by March?
Yes, I do.
Chris, what about yours? What are your thoughts on this?
I agree, absolutely, man. I mean, we struggled in 3 points, 3-point shooting percentage last year, which is, it was horrible. I haven't seen this guy's a lot of his stats, field goal range, stuff like that. But like Matt said, I'm pretty sure he is. He's a 5-star, the best guard in this class. He's going to come in, make an immediate impact. Baker and Hero. Now that's kind of interesting, because both those guys shoot the 3 ball really well, and we were horrible beyond the arc last year. I see it being Hagans and either Baker and Hero starting in the backfield.
Well, Chris, let me ask you this question. Like, I feel the biggest issue that UK basketball had last season is they didn't have the guy. So when the game was on the line, down a point with 30 seconds in the ball, they didn't know who the guy was. Is Hagans going to be the guy?
Oh yes, hands down, without a doubt. He'll become the leader of this team, and he'll be the guy. He will definitely be the guy.
Matthew, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think so. We got a lot of guys returning. I think Keldon Johnson's going to be that guy. I think he's going to be the guy that says, hey, there's 6 seconds left. Let me get this shot. You got a senior for the first time and forever with Reed Travis. You got guys returning such as P.J. Washington, Quade Green. They're going to make an impact. Hagan's going to be nice. Don't get me wrong. Your previous question about Baker, or your statement about Baker and Hero in the backcourt with him, I don't think so. I think it's going to be Quade at the 2, but I think Keldon Johnson's going to be that guy. By the time March rolls around, because Kentucky always gets that one. He's dangling around in that 5 to 7 guys when the recruiting ranks come out. He's not up there with the number 1, but he plays himself into that. One thing that I win a lot of bets off this. People say, oh, Karl Anthony Towns was the number 1 recruit coming out that year. No, he wasn't. He was behind Okafor. He was behind Emmanuel Mudiay. He was like number 8. He came out and made a huge name for himself and ended up going number 1. Anthony Davis was actually the number 3 behind Kid Gilchrist and Austin Rivers. So Kentucky always finds those guys that are 4, 5, and 6 on that. Shea Alexander. I'm going to butcher his name there. He was way down the charts. Guys like Trey Young was ahead of him, and I know they went drafted, but I would take Shea over Trey any day. But I think that Keldon Johnson is going to be that guy that they found around that number 6, that number 7 recruiting spot. But by the time March and April rolls around, when we're talking draft, we're talking him up there with Cam Reddish. And I don't think Zion Williams. I think he's going to be the one that's going to step down. But that's a different conversation.
Well, we can definitely talk basketball all day long, but football's coming before basketball season is. And football season, like, I get excited about football season. I don't know about anybody else, but football just gets my blood going. And I've read several reports that if Mark Stoops does not beat Florida this season, no matter how the season goes, 7-5, 9-3, if he does not beat Florida, he is on the hot seat and possibly on his way out. Matthew, what are your thoughts on that?
I've been very vocal about this over the last couple of shows, and I think that's absurd. I think that because the Florida game is at the Swamp, you have 30 years of history against you. And you mentioned the words 9-3, which I think would be amazing. If we go 9-3, you cannot pull the plug on a coach that went 9-3 with a bowl win, could potentially win you 10 games. That's the direction you need to go. I don't care if Florida beats us 100-0. If we go 10 wins, you got to give that man another extension. That would be absurd to get rid of him. Even at 7-5, I think that's the direction that we want to go as a program. People want to talk about this losing streak with Florida. I did some homework on it. Yes, it does stink that we haven't beat Florida in 30 years, but it's been only once since this losing streak has Florida came to Lexington after the month of September. It was 2007, and we lost by 8. Florida, the SEC, if anything, the SEC has to worry about that. And I know they got bigger fish to fry when they got guys like Alabama and Georgia, but how about we even that playing field out? Have Florida come to Lexington on a chilly November night, and let's see how that pans out. Because I guarantee you that speed, it takes a step back, especially if there's some of this crazy Kentucky snow on the ground. Now, look, I'm not making excuses. Last year, we choked away. We had 10 men on the field. There was a play clock 3 or 4 years ago. We've had our fair shares of opportunity and just give them away. But we have to move on from this streak because I know it's hard. But when I was watching that game last year, when they tied it or when they took the lead, actually, when they even cut it down to just a couple of points, we still had the lead. That stadium was quiet. You would have thought we were being thumped by 50. Mm-hmm. The fact that we hang on to this and we hold that coach to that one game, because odds are if he goes 9-3, we beat Louisville, I'm always for that. We probably beat Georgia, Tennessee, or Vandy, or at least 2 of the 3. We probably even beat a SEC West opponent. I would imagine our only 3 losses would be, in this scenario, would be Florida, Georgia, and Texas A&M. I will take that, and I will be furious if they let him go, and even as we discussed, bring in a potential Les Miles, which I don't even think that's realistic. But I would be furious if they moved on after going 9-3, and Lord forbid if he won a bowl game and set at 10-3, and you got rid of that. I hate to say it, as big as a fan I am, we would deserve to be mediocre if we do that.
Chris, what are your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, I agree there. I look, as a fan, I picked Kentucky to win this game because I want it to happen so bad. Like Matt said, it's been 30 years. I want this streak to end.
Well, you need
so
to pick
bad.
with your heart, not with your or you need to pick with your head, not your heart.
Yeah, and realistically, people don't get too excited about Kentucky football around here. A win like this, if it were to happen, I think it could maybe kindle up some of that, old team spirit there for people and make them get into Kentucky football. Mark Stoops is a hell of a recruiter. I mean, he's a great coach. He didn't inherit a very good team, but he's got a couple of his classes through. He's got a really solid 22 guys. I mean, I think he's got a really good team. I think they're better than what most of us give him credit for. But if he comes in and that is, one of 3 losses, like Matt said, or 4 losses, and we win close to 10 games and go to a bowl game that's not the Liberty Bowl, and we actually play a good opponent and beat them and win that bowl game, there's no way. There's absolutely no way that they could fire this man. There's no way. And I would be absolutely furious too.
All right, Matthew, let me ask you this. What if UK starts 1-2? They lose to Central Michigan, lose to Florida, and squeak past Murray State. Do you think it's time for him to go at that point?
No, I'm excited. Let me tell you why I'm excited. I had this same conversation with some friends about 2 or 3 years ago when we had a 35-0 lead on Southern Miss and we lost. And then we turned around and got thumped by Florida. That was one of the best years we had. We turned around and we played amazing. If I'm not mistaken, that's the year we even took down Lamar Jackson in Louisville.
Yes, it is.
So I'm excited because, look, I'm a believer of history repeating itself, and I'm somewhat to a lot superstitious depending on my mood. Mark Stoops is going to give you a great half of a season. I'm ready for it to be that back half. I would rather him start 2-4 and then finish 6-0. And us take that momentum into a bowl game. Let's take down Louisville. Let's take down Tennessee. Let's take down Georgia. Forget Florida. Let me see this back half stretch. So, yes, if he started 1-2, there's going to be a lot of people on social media going nuts. I wouldn't be one of them. I'm one of them holding on because, let me tell you, man, it's coming. And I could be wrong, and we could go 4-8. And then, of course, that would be ugly. But if me personally, if that TV goes off and we're sitting at 1-2, I'm excited.
Chris, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm not excited about going 1-2, but I kind of do agree with you about being a little superstitious. And I'm the same way. I love history to repeat itself. If he starts 1-5, it's over with. I mean, there will be no saving him. He might get lucky and they might let him finish the season out, but 1-5, he'll be done.
So you guys are both on record saying that his job should be safe this season, correct?
I do.
Should be.
I think so, yeah.
Should be.
Alrighty, guys. Well, thank you for joining us with a Big Blue Breakdown. Tune in next Thursday, 9 a.m. as we go live on YouTube, and we'll be uploading to iTunes as well. So join us next week. Bye.